All right, good evening, everybody. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Apologize for running a couple minutes late there. Testing 1 2 3. Type a 2 in the chat if you can hear me and see my screen, please. Type a 2 in the chat if you don't mind. All right, how's the sound? Everything good? All right, how's everybody doing today? I do apologize there. And going to stop sharing my screen for one moment here and make a couple of adjustments with my slides, and we'll go ahead and get started. So go ahead and get cozy, relaxed, get yourself something to drink, whatever that might be, and we'll go ahead and get started here in about 30 seconds. All right, folks, I am back. Welcome. If you are here to see hidden forces that generate explosive gains in any market, you are at the right place. My name is Silas Peters. I'm the founder and head trader of Seasonal Swing Trader. And let's, since I had to make a couple of adjustments, if one or two or three of you don't mind, or a handful don't mind, just letting me know that you can see that slide as well as hear me. Don't want to be talking to a black hole for the next hour or so. So if somebody could just give me a heads up that we're good, we'll go ahead and rock and roll. All right, good deal. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know everybody's got busy, hectic lives, and I do appreciate you taking time today for about 60 minutes, an hour or so, to come listen to me talk. This is one of my favorite presentations. Has anybody heard this presentation before? We actually did this last week, and the response was so overwhelming. To the positive side, they asked to see it again. Some of you had seen it, others had missed it for whatever reason. So I am very pleased and do not mind at all coming back and doing this presentation again, because I feel like what I'm going to share with you is very important, especially in today's markets. And I do encourage you to ask all the questions you want during the course of the presentation. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to try not to stop and answer those during the presentation. I want to make sure I get through the end, get through the meat, teach you something, and then we'll go through all of your questions and we'll look at some markets and some setups and things like that. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and get started. If you've ever been on a call like this before, it may be a little bit different from what you've experienced in the past, because I really do want to help you walk away with something you can begin applying immediately. Before we begin, we must always start with a risk disclaimer as required by the regulatory governing bodies as well as our attorneys. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. There's substantial risk of loss associated with trading. Only risk capital should be used to trade. You can lose money in trading. So bottom line, what that means is don't trade with your rent money, your mortgage money, your milk money, your child's educational funds. You can lose money in trading. So while everybody's reading that, let me know where you are from. Let's get to know one another. I am in LA, which is lower Alabama on the Gulf of Mexico. Where's everybody tuning into from the world? We've got Washington State, Atlanta, London, welcome. Fort Myers, Florida, Kansas City, Music City, New York, Ontario. Awesome. Got folks from all over the place, so welcome to those both domestically and internationally. And I want to be respectful of your time, so let's get right to it. I've got a goal for this presentation. It's pretty simple. If you're a new trader looking for a simpler way, a more experienced trader looking for a better way, or like the rest of us and looking for a more profitable and predictable way, then I believe you're on the right call because I have you covered. In fact, I have a promise. What is my promise? Well, you're going to see how you can start experiencing explosive gains with your trades, all by paying attention to and trading in conjunction with the hidden forces that drive the markets. And I'm actually going to prove it to you, show you some real trades that we are either currently in and or just closed out. How explosive are we talking? Well, that number will vary a lot, but one of the case studies I'm going to share with you, we talk about a trade that increased by approximately 42.5%. Now, I know that may not sound like much because you're probably used to seeing things on the internet or on YouTube or wherever about, hey, 1,000% winner, 2,000% winner. Well, this is a trade that equated to nearly $20,000 per contract. I shared it with members of my community. Several of them took action and did very well with it. And I found it all by using the strategy I'm going to be teaching you today. But I want you to stop and think for a minute. Can you imagine what that kind of experience of trading success would feel like yourself? To not just clear several $1,000s on one trade, but to be able to see those kinds of gains on a regular basis. What would it mean for your family, for their financial future? What about your friends or colleagues? What would they say when they see things change, that you're doing it yourself, you're not depending on a broker? Would they respect you more? Would they look at you differently? Can you imagine what that would feel like? These are trades that can literally change your lifestyle. And that's why this presentation is so important, because I really do believe that what you're about to learn here is going to help move you towards achieving that goal. Now's the time you want to shut everything down, remove all your distractions. That means closing browser tabs, logging out of Facebook, putting your phone on mute. We're going to be together for about 60 minutes or so. And even though we are recording, I can't guarantee there'll be a replay. So you want to make sure you listen closely and take good notes. With that said, let me properly introduce myself again. My name is Silas Peters. I'm a proud husband, also father to these beautiful blonde-haired beauties on the right from my alma mater at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So 3 days after I graduated, I sold my car, I packed up my small belongings, and I headed straight north. I drove straight north to the good old Windy City, or the city of Chicago. And it's here where I cut my teeth in the commodity markets working at the Chicago Board of Trade. I was bitten by the trading bug and really never looked back. So while there, I helped run a global trading desk, placing and managing books of trades across the Americas, Asia, and European sessions, primarily working with large block order flow for hedge funds, banks, CTAs, large force spec traders, and the like. I've also been a part of building and managing several futures and equity brokerage firms, worked as a private family office investment consultant, holder. I have held these various futures and securities licenses. And then in 2016, I launched Seasonal Swing Trader. And then here in 2020, also launched a registered investment advisory called Blue Marlin Advisors that I am a co-founder and partner of. Very excited about that. But my journey as a trader wasn't always easy. There was a learning curve. In fact, several obstacles and hurdles on the path to where I am today. The first step was obviously learning. School does not teach real life experience in the markets. In the beginning, I made money. In fact, I made a substantial amount of money. Was I lucky? No, I like to not think that it was luck, but ignorance and greed cost me my profits. I blew up an account, then I blew up a few others in what I like to call revenge trading. I'm sure some of you can attest to that. I finally went back to my roots, settled down, worked my process, and found overall consistency. So after all that time working as a broker, trade for others, and now educating and supporting traders like yourself, make no mistake, I firmly believe that you can see success as a trader. But you're going to need two things to make that happen. You're going to need a strategy to follow, nothing too complex, or you won't even bother with it, and you need to take action. It really is just that simple. Let me ask you an important question. Are you done? Are you done struggling and ready to experience some success and growth in your portfolio? Are you done spending hours upon hours of analyzing charts but never taking action? Are you done subscribing to dozens of newsletters, promising some hidden secret but never having the time to read them all? So let me see where you're at here in the comments. A lot of you saying, yeah, absolutely. You're ready to get some big wins. And that's great, because if you are here, you're willing to take time out of your schedule to come listen to this presentation. That means you are looking for a different way, an easier way than what you've been doing before. And that's what we're going to be covering, the easier way. And that's understanding that there are hidden forces in the markets. And when you learn how to leverage them, you can see some darn near explosive gains. And again, this strategy will work in any market, whether you trade stocks, options, ETFs, futures, Forex, and more. So during this workshop, we're going to focus in on 3 big ideas that I want you to pay attention to. The first one is the hidden in plain sight pattern most traders miss and how you can benefit from those immediately. Next, I want you to clearly understand what data you must focus on and what you can ignore so you can trade in confidence. And finally, I want to show you a way that will shorten the time you spend analyzing charts, all by utilizing a simple 3-point strategy. So forget about all the other noise. We're going to keep it straightforward and simple. So let's dive in and talk about the hidden in plain sight pattern most traders miss and how you can benefit from those immediately. What are these hidden forces in the markets? Simply put, they are historical data patterns, also known as cyclical or seasonal markets, which have been scientifically proven to beat out every other traditional investment strategy. It's true, a study analyzed over 200 years of data across 68 markets where they reviewed the returns on several different investment strategies. Trading off of seasonality outperformed all other strategies. It's hard to beat 200 years of proof, so let's get into what these cyclical patterns actually are. A market can be classified as seasonal when it has a unique or specific demand or during different times of the year. Cyclical markets follow the general trajectory of the economy or are based on weather or planting seasons. A few other not so obvious factors that influence repeatable behavior include tax seasons and fiscal policies set by world governments, as well as the movement of large amounts of capital by banks, hedge funds, institutions, and the like. But the most common denominator is that all of these markets and patterns are repeatable. They happen over and over again like waves crashing on a shore. The key is knowing when that wave is coming in and then learning how to ride it. Let's look at some familiar examples. When do you think the price of Walmart is going to rally the most? Right after Thanksgiving. Why? Because there's so many Christmas sales that take place at that time. And it makes perfect sense. Most retail stocks rally because of the sales that start on Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. Here's another example. Wheat is harvested in the fall and people barbecue more pork and beef in the summer. What do you think that does to the price of those commodities? They tend to rise. Coca-Cola, KO, everybody's familiar with Coca-Cola Classic, also tends to rally more in the summer than in the winter because people drink more Coke in the summer months. So whatever your market is, you can find a seasonal pattern. In fact, if you want to know the best time to buy or sell your favorite markets, it's wise to know its seasonal or cyclical patterns. And here's Coca-Cola rallying again in its methodical and predictable fashion, following its seasonal cyclical patterns. So let's look at the case study I mentioned in the beginning so you can see exactly what I'm referring to. This is a weekly chart of crude oil on a continuous contract basis. This chart dates all the way back to 2001. Notice all the little green circles on the chart. That's where I've highlighted the cyclical patterns that we're talking about. You can see that for the last 18 years, from December 2001 to December 2019, crude oil has followed the same cyclical or seasonal pattern, which is driven by supply and demand. So it's pretty clear that crude, just like many energy stocks, classify as a seasonal market. Now, why does this matter? So unlike what you may hear on the news from the talking heads or so some called expert, the demand for crude remains relatively stable throughout the year. However, it really starts to pick up as we enter the new year. So to meet the upcoming demand of that time period, distributors will begin to stockpile supplies as early as January. So while refineries are shutting down briefly to prepare their supply, their doing so usually leads to an immediate boost in prices until the facilities are back in full operation, which is the cause of these moves we see on the chart here. But enough about the fundamentals. Let's talk about the trading opportunities and how it can benefit you. So we can see very clearly this is a consistent, predictable pattern that has held true for the last 18 years. Does this mean it will work next year or the year after? No, nothing is guaranteed in life, and certainly not in trading. Nobody can predict the future. However, this is a high probability pattern, and it would be a smart trade to make. And I can guarantee you that I wait for this setup every year. And the good thing is that it is only one market. If our goal was to try to stay on the winning side when we trade, making trades following historical and seasonal cycles that have proven themselves again and again is not only logical, it's just plain smart. You may be wondering, what would you have pocketed from this trade? Well, that all depends on what instrument you are trading, how many contracts, your account size, where you exit or manage your risk. I don't know what you're trading, your size, your risk tolerance, your capital. The point is, did you know where the trend was likely headed? Did it get and keep you on the right side of the market? The answer is a resounding yes. So to give you an idea here, with crude, each contract represents 1,000 barrels. Each tick or minimum move is a penny per barrel or $10 per contract. So a full point movement equates to $1 per barrel or $1,000 per contract. So that means that each of these four moves here were worth roughly $14,000 to $15,000 per contract. And similar moves have repeated themselves over the last 18 years. So with opportunities like that, doesn't it make sense to trade with this seasonal or cyclical trend? The answer is, of course, yes. Having spotted this, you could have traded the following. You don't have to move the family to Chicago or worry about taking delivery of crude on your front doorstep. You could have traded a multitude of energy ETFs and stocks, including leveraged and unleveraged crude oil energy markets. You're probably thinking by now, Silas, that sounds great. But it's easy for you because you know how to read those charts and what to look for. What do I need to focus on in order to find these patterns? And that brings us to our second big idea, and that's understanding what data you must focus on and what you can ignore so you can continue to trade in confidence. Because let's be honest here, there is a lot of information out there, a lot of techniques or quick fixes, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed and not know where to start. So before we consider what you need to focus on, let's address what you need to ignore. Popular but completely unreliable sources of trading information include talking heads, planetary movements, market wizards, and annoying neighbors. We're not going to really trust Ned Flanders with our family's financial future, are we? So the first step is to cut out the unnecessary noise. Then I want you to memorize and follow the focus formula. What the heck is the focus formula, you ask? It's X plus Y plus Z equals consistent profits. All the information you need. Well, let's define what this formula is. And it's the three most important things you need to pay attention to. The first part is what we've been talking about. That's historical data. That's just looking at the past in order to see the future. So the key things you want to pay attention to are the time of year, dates, what the stock, commodity, currency has done over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, and of course, global events that may affect the underlying. That couldn't be even more true in today's market. And so from that information, you're going to start to recognize trends and patterns. You can also shave years off your research process when you are aware of unique calendar windows. You probably heard it before, the Santa Claus rally, sell may go away. Knowing the specific times of the calendar windows, when to be long, when to be short, or perhaps where to be flat, gives you a huge edge in the market. You immediately have an edge over your Main Street buy and hold financial advisor that you're probably overpaying, by the way. You can also compare that with sectors, using the same logic to figure out why the top performing sectors typically outperform the S&P 500 over the course of a year. Are you familiar with the term sector rotation? You can bet you know what the top institutional money managers, hedge funds, pension funds do. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, of inflows and outflows at very specific times of the key year. because stocks, as they always do, they follow money flows and they fluctuate in ways that echo the past. Industries. Why do you think real estate stocks thrive at specific times of the year, or airline stocks? What about energy stocks, home builder stocks? Your brain should be spinning by now, but in a good way, an almost aha moment, because we like the market move in cycles, predictable cycles, month after month, year after year. And that leads us to the last group, commodities, which in my opinion have even greater seasonal tendencies, because these are markets that are tangible, physically consumed, grown, planted, harvested, and are dependent on the worldwide supply and demand at various times of the year. Think about some other examples. What about cocoa in February, gold in December, grains in the summer? They repeat themselves year after year, and they are doing so as we speak. So the next part of the focus formula is technical analysis. Using seasonality as a standalone tool to make your decisions is not recommended. Is it powerful? Does it perform better than other strategies? Yes, we've already proven that. But I want you to look at seasonality as a useful analytical tool and use it in conjunction with technical analysis. So we know that when we look for seasonal or cyclical patterns, we look for these trends that have lasted 70, 75, 80, 85% plus. We also want to trade in line with technical patterns that have displayed the same historical rate, 75 to 85% plus. Time-tested seasonal patterns combined with time-tested technical patterns greatly enhance your ability to be successful on any given trade. So let's talk about some of these technical patterns. With the head and shoulders top, head and shoulders bottom. I'm sure everybody is familiar with this. This is Technical Analysis 101. This is what a head and shoulder top is. This is cocoa futures. Here's a left shoulder, a neck, a head, a neck, and a right shoulder. A head and shoulders top trader looks to get short on breaks or closes below the neckline. What about 1, 2, 3 tops and 1, 2, 3 bottoms? If anybody's been following me for any length of time, you know that this is one of my bread and butter strategies. Here's that same chart of cocoa. Here we have a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 bottom trader knows to look to get long on breaks or closes above the number 2. And you can also find a 1, 2, 3 top embedded in this head and shoulder top. 1, 2, 3, looking to get short on breaks below the number 2 or that neckline. What about double tops and double bottoms? Here's a weekly chart of deer, double top. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're looking to get short on breaks below the V line, and it goes off to the races. And then lastly, it leads us to pennants, triangles, and wedges. Same chart of deer. Here's your triangle, your pennant, your wedge, whatever you want to call it. Breaks above, gives you a retest, and we're off to the races to the upside. So hopefully you're beginning to see the power of when these high probability patterns align with high probability nature of historical price cycles and how they can lead to some really explosive gains. That brings us to the third part of the focus formula. That's good old-fashioned common sense. Common sense would tell you not to randomly buy or sell a market just because of a date on a calendar. Common sense says that while pizza stocks may be affected by the Super Bowl, you don't go bet the family farm on Papa John's. We must wait for that market to confirm that the seasonal move is actually underway based on what the chart and market are telling us at the time, and then we take action. And that's why I came up with the focus formula, because after spending years analyzing, researching, and trading the markets, I found that the closest thing to the ever elusive Holy Grail is to use plain and simple common sense in your approach to trading. There are about as many indicators in the marketplace as there are cryptocurrencies. And you know what? Most of them are worthless. What you need is a high probability historical pattern confirmed by a high probability technical pattern paired with a level head of common sense. Those three things are what I call the perfect marriage in trading and will help set you up for success in your approach every time. So here's the ticket formula again. Write it down, tape it to your forehead, glue it to your computer. Historical data plus technical analysis plus common sense equals consistent profits. So you may be thinking, that sounds great, but how can I find these setups so quickly? Trust me, I hear you. Nobody likes to spend all day stuck behind their screen, or most of us don't. That brings us to the conclusion of this presentation, and that's how you can shorten the amount of time you can spend analyzing charts. So now that you have your strategy in place and you're ready to take action, what next? How do we even begin scouring through years or decades of stocks, futures, currencies, data, patterns, cycles? What if there was a push button solution, literally a scan and go function that could lay out years of historical data on a virtual silver platter? Type a 1 in the chat box if you'd like to have that opportunity. I'm gonna take a swig of water here. All right, yeah, of course you are. And you typed a 2, but that's all right, I understand. Yeah, of course you are. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. A lot of the ones coming in, so excellent. So when I say a push button solution, I'm talking about literally a push button solution that delivers the following: a symbol, a bias. Do we want to be long, short, or maybe out? What about a suggested entry date and a suggested exit date? Everything that can provide a framework for your daily process. And that's what we did. We developed a scanner. It's called the smartMARKET scanner. We built one for smart Forex, smart futures, and smart stocks to allow technology to do the heavy lifting for us. So rather than manually looking through decades and decades of data, trying to spot these patterns, we now have a tool that searches historical trends and patterns for us and locates setups that meet a certain criteria of success. So whether you trade stocks, futures, or Forex, ETFs, options, or commodities, there is now a push button solution. How do we do it? Let's walk through this process together. So we now have a tool in the smartMARKET scanner that allows us to choose all of the key relevant information we need, like which month and symbol we wish to see the trend for, as well as how often that trend should win. Do we only want to see bullish setups or bearish setups, or perhaps both? How long do we want the seasonal trend to last? A minimum of 7 days, but no more than 10. What about 20, 30, 40? You click the search button, and what would take years to deliver is now done in seconds. And you're not just limited to only a symbol, an entry date, an exit date. In fact, there's enough data here to create an entire computer model. But as I said, I like to keep things simple. So let me show you how I use it, and we're going to go through this key information together. So are y'all ready to dive in and see how this works? Mid-moment here, going to bring up the scanners. Right. So let me know, can you see the software? This is Smart Forex. This is Smart Futures. And this is Smart Stocks. Can everybody see that? One time my screen froze up and it was a complete disaster. So I just want to make sure before I move forward that you can see the scanners. Hello, hello. All right. All right, so this is the Smart Stocks scanner. And everything that you see here on tab 1, all these windows mean that you can adjust the variables or type in or manipulate your own data. So if we want to look for trends in by month or maybe by symbol, we have that ability. If we want to find trends that have won at least, say, 85% of the time, 75, maybe 90, we have that ability. If we want to find trends that have either been bullish or bearish or both, and let's say we want to find trades that last at least 10 trading days, but maybe no more than 40. Maybe we call ourselves an intermediate swing trader. If you want to change that to maybe more than 2 days, but no more than 7, maybe you only want to trade, weeklies or something like that, you have the ability to do that as well. And we want to say, let's find trades that have at least 7 years of data. We hit the search button and we get all of our results here. So instead of just, again, the trend, the symbol, the company, start date, end date, and the win percentage, we get a scoring system. So that this can be rankable, 5 being the highest or highest probability setup, all the way to 0.01, which is the least probability. And you can see once I scroll over all this other data, the number of years, calendar days in the trade, average profit in percent, dollars, average drawdown in percent and dollars, average daily profit, biggest profit, max gain, max loss, total wins, total losses, total historical gain, is it optionable, the sector, industry, and more. All of these columns are also sortable. So you can see if I want to sort by the highest probability all the way to the lowest probability, or maybe the start date, win rate, and more, I have the ability to do all of that, okay? And these are all customizable, so we can go to user preferences, we can go to column options, and we can add or remove what we want to see or what we don't want to see. All of these stats here are based on $1,000 per trade. If we want to say, maybe we want to change this to a certain percent, this is $1,000 because it represents 5% of 20,000. We can change this. You can put if it's trading a demo or hypothetical account, or if you want to just do a flat, say 100 shares per trade, you can change all of that, okay? And now, once we get this data, notice that once I click on these, all this data below changes. So this first tab is your equity graph. It's upward sloping, obviously, on an equity graph or equity curve. We want to see it sloping higher. This is based on if you've taken this trade every year over the last 8 years, this is what your equity curve would look like. Here is a year-by-year breakdown, table breakdown. Think of this as like a candlestick. The high of the wick being your max gain during the life of the trade, the low of the wick being your max drawdown during the life of the trade, and of course, this is where you ended. Here's a pie graph. This is your probability graph here. The more green you see, the higher probability to trade. And then the year-by-year breakdown here, if you had bought, take two, if you'd bought take two on this date, exited, or begin date, begin price, end date, end price, your max drawdown, and your closed P&L, okay? So now let's say that, so all this data yielded 811 results. Let's say that after we, went through all this, we liked, maybe these first 4. Then we can come and add to step 2. Click add to step 2. That takes us to the portfolio tab. So those have moved those 4 trades into the portfolio tab. And here's where we can run a neural network scanner probability analysis on these 4 stocks. Those are going to break that down based on dozens and dozens of proprietary models in the background on a both technical and fundamental level, and it's going to come back to you and say high probability, medium probability, or low probability. I'm not going to do it right now for the sake of time, and that will help you further weed out your picks, okay? And back to this user preference column, as I showed you earlier, we can base that trade allocation based on a dollar amount or a quantity. And here's our where we can set our neural network risk tolerances. Do we want to run it on a conservative, moderate, or aggressive neural network scan? And here's what all of this means in further detail. So let's say that after we do our neural network scan, maybe the first two come back as highest probability. We only want to take those trades. Well, we can then add those to our trade alert tab. This is our own customized trade alert tab. We can add as many symbols as we want to the trade alert tab, and these can be sent to us via email or SMS text. We set up our alerts by putting in our email address or a phone number to receive via SMS text, and we can schedule the alerts to come to us 1 day before the suggested date, 2 days, 5 days, whatever suits your fancy. And then you can close the software down, and you don't really need to open it back up until you want to look at it again. So I like to run my scans on the weekend, and I don't really need to open it back up during the course of the week, although I do open it up because I'm constantly looking at markets. What I did want to show you too is you can go back, you can double click on these and see how they've done in the past. Here's that suggested entry date. Here's that suggested exit date. Same thing here on take 2. Suggested start, suggested exit. These are all profitable trades. And it's basically the same process over here on Smart Forex and Smart Futures. Now, these results were based on the S&P 500. You can search in the NASDAQ, the Dow, ETFs, and all of these various sectors. In futures, it's going to be based on the major commodity groups. And then Forex, it's really just, it's all Forex. And you can, in any of these, you can create your own custom watch list. So, if you want to, maybe if you only follow maybe 10 stocks, or maybe you want to follow 20 stocks in your, IRA or something, you can choose to do that if you wish. All right, so I hope that makes sense. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Let's go back to our example here. This trade was a scan that we ran. It was a bullish setup on TDG. Says to get long on or around May 20th. We go to the chart. When I go to the daily chart of TDG, we are in an uptrend. We're above the 50, 100, and 200. Actually, we're above the 100 and 200, but we're stuck here in this range or consolidating between the 50 and 100. No worries. All I did was draw a simple box around that, and I waited for the market to confirm by breaking out, which it did break out of that channel up and out above the 50, and that was our confirmation to get long. We can buy the stock, we can buy call options, call spreads, or sell put options, whatever your flavor or trading may be. Here's another case study on MAC. Bearish setup on MAC on or around May 10th, it looks like. We can see our year-by-year table here and a year-by-year breakdown. If it meets our risk-reward objectives, then we go to the chart. Here we go, we're clearly in a downtrend. We're below the 200, 150, and we're trading a little counter trend. I love counter trend setups because if I know that a high probability seasonal setup is about to appear, but we're trading against it, all I got to do is wait patiently for that market to reverse. So the market's trading up. We put in a reversal candle at the 50-day moving average. That's our signal to get short. We can buy put options, put spreads, sell call spreads, or sell MAC outright. Here's another case study on cocoa. It says to get long on or around June 3. Here's our year-by-year table. Risk-reward stats look pretty favorable. Same scenario like MAC, but only opposite, where the overall trend is clearly up. That's good, but we're trading counter trend. We're going down, down, down. Market comes in, pierces in through the 50 and 100-day moving average, puts in a bullish reversal candle followed by a second day. That's our cue or our confirmation to get long cocoa futures via call options, call spreads, or sell out of money put spreads. And then here's another case study on the pound yen bullish setup on or around 9.8, 86% win rate over 7 years. Average profit's been almost $3,000. We look at our year by year. We see a huge max drawdown on that one losing year. That's what I would call an anomaly, and I think that was because of Brexit. Year by year, other than that, has been pretty consistent. So we go into the chart, we're below the trend, but then what happens once we get into the 50-day moving average? The buyers step in, we have a large bullish print, and we are able to get long. Look at the suggested exit date was around 9/19. Look at this chart. What date is that? 9/19. What happens? Market reverses and rolls over off the cliff. So let's recap. You were introduced to the powerful practice of using historical data to guide your trading behaviors. You learned about the focus formula, what is literally my holy grail of trading, to understand what data you must focus on and what you can ignore. You saw several different ways you can shorten the amount of time you spend analyzing charts, all while finding hundreds of high probability setups that you can take action on. And now you literally can have access to the same setup tools that I use on a daily and weekly basis. So with that, we are pleased to introduce the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package. The smartMARKET Scanner is your time-saving solution to finding hundreds of high probability setups in only a few minutes each day. And I've been able to put together a very special offer so that you have everything you need to take action on what you just learned today. So let me share with you what you'd be receiving in this package. First off is the Smart Seasonal Software Bundle. There are actually 3 separate scanners in the bundle, one for stocks, one for futures, and one for Forex. And yes, this is the exact same software you just saw me demonstrate. It's going to help you identify seasonal trends that can be identified at a glance with a click of a button, all by pulling from decades upon decades of data. As you've seen, it offers very detailed statistics showing your optimal entry, optimal exit, and duration, only the most important information you need. It does all the math for you, calculating projected profit, drawdown, as well as your average daily profit, gain, drawdown, and more. How else can you use it? You can use it for counter seasonal pullbacks, use it to spot market bias, use it for options trading. Like I said, if I see a high probability sell setup, I love trading options with this software. If you see a high probability sell setup, I sell call credit spreads. If I see a high probability buy setup, I sell bull put spreads. Depending on the market and time frame, I'll be an outright buyer, outright call buyer, outright put buyer. You can also trade the minis, the micros, ETFs, and set up alerts for even more customized, efficient trading. Let me ask you a question. Now that you've seen several different ways allowing you to shorten the time you spend researching trades, how would you like to get access to this software and scanner? I went into the lab because I had members and students clamoring for something like this, to build something like this. Hell, I even wanted something like this, a push button approach that would hand me these high probability trade ideas, almost spoon feeding me like a baby. So Ray says, yes. Let me ask you another question. If we could even help shorten the learning curve and have someone scanning and trading by your side every day, would that be helpful? So I mentioned letting technology do the heavy lifting for you is one method, but what if we also included full access to Seasonal Swing Trader Pro? So in addition to having your own software and scanner, what if there was even more analysis given to you each and every week via email and SMS text? So in addition to the powerful seasonality software 3-pack, full access to Seasonal Swing Trader Pro entails 10+ trade ideas per week. I update this every Sunday. It goes out every Sunday. I do a complete video analysis covering the whys of what I'm looking at, what to be looking for possible entries and or exits. And we cover stocks, ETFs, indices, commodities, currencies, you name it, and supply all the information you need to know. So to give you a better idea of what this looks like, here are some examples. So this is a real just snapshot of what you have access to. I provide all of the key data you need. I give you 6 equities, 2 commodities, and 2 currencies. That's just the beginning. There could be multiple flash alerts, if you will, that come out throughout the week. In fact, we had 3 come out today. So these are all utilizing the same methods described through the presentation: seasonality plus technical analysis. Let's look at some very recent examples we've just done. Here's a short trade that we did on stamps.com. We were able to put in $25 plus per share in our pocket. Here's a long trade we did in Weibo, over $5 plus. Here's a sugar trade we did, 110 points or $1,230 per contract. Here's a Swiss franc trade that we took, over 200 points. You know what that equates to? $2,500 per contract. These are examples of very recent trades. And I'll show you trades that we are in right now. We are long cocoa futures. We are long the dollar index. We are in a multitude of other markets, and I'll show those to you. Here's some unsolicited testimonials. So if you like the same access to these tools and resources and ideas that myself and several hundred other members enjoy, I suggest you take advantage of this special offer. So it's called the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package, and we'll just recap everything that's included in this special deal. With the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package, you're going to get access to all 3 of the software programs included: the stocks, futures, and forex, as well as multiple training videos and strategy guides. So 12 months of access for all 3 software programs, and the additional training is valued at $596. Next, you're going to be given annual access to the SST Pro Alert service. This is where you're going to be alerted to high probability setups via both email and SMS text, if you wish to do so, as well as being given a trade tracker Google Doc to keep tracks of all the trades and the scans. In this service, I analyze over 100 plus stocks and ETFs, 35 plus commodity markets, 35 currency markets. The real-time retail value of that is $1,167. Here are some examples of real trade alerts that were sent via email and SMS text. As you see, nothing is left uncovered. We don't feed it to the wolves. If you ever have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out. Next, you're going to be receiving monthly member sessions. This is where you ask me questions directly live on the call. In fact, our live monthly session for August is next week. We run through scans, we look at charts, we discuss seasonality plays, both long, short and long-term opportunities, different strategies, as well as look at the seasonal nature of the market in the current environment. They're all recorded and archived and placed in the members area for your viewing convenience 24 hours a day. These 12 sessions are valued at $2,388. Next, I'm also providing exclusive members only scan updates and additional training videos showing you exactly what data I'm researching. These scan updates are provided every week. So as part of that package, you're going to receive 52 additional current trainings. These updates are valued at $3,900. That's everything. The smartMARKET Scanner Bundle for 12 months, SST Pro Alert Service for 12 months, monthly members only session for 12 months, weekly scan updates and videos, $8,052 worth of software training and member exclusive bonuses. But I also want to include a few additional bonuses to reward those who are taking action. First is the Chart Pattern Principle course. It's a 90+ page PDF manual with additional strategies, patterns, seasonal trend setups, and much more. It's valued at $297. Also going to include my 25 top option strategy guide. This is helpful for those that are just dipping their toes into the world of options, as well as those that are more seasoned. Strategies for all skill levels, basic calls and puts, and more intermediate advanced, such as counters, condors, verticals, butterflies, and more. It's valued at $147. And for serious action takers, I'm going to offer VIP email support for the first 25. So just so you know, I'm a real human being. I'm not a robot. This is a live presentation. I read and answer all the questions that come in. I do have a support team, but I do work with clients on an individual basis for those that have questions, want to send in feedback. I love working with students. In fact, I get some really good ideas from people that ask me about this and that. And that's the closest thing I can offer direct access to me. It's valued at $397, but really that's priceless. That brings the total value to this smartMARKET premium package to $8,893. Let me ask you this. If all it did was help you improve your record to generate more wins and losses, what would that be worth? If all it did was allow you to unsubscribe to other tools and newsletters that you aren't using, what would that be worth? If all it did was help you place 1 to 2 winning trades, what would that be worth? Literally one trade can pay for all of this. I'm obviously not going to charge you $8,893, even though we can both agree that would be a fair price after looking at the software and the past trades the service has delivered. Not even going to charge you half of that because I don't want cost to be a barrier to your success. You already seen what the software can do, the probability of the alert service, how much time it will save you. Just one profitable trade is likely to cover the entire cost of your small investment. So I'm very proud for this live webinar special to offer this for a fee of $797. The offer link is seasonalswingtrader.com/scan. And give me a moment here, I'll put this into the chat. Sylvia, don't worry if you don't know how to use it. There's plenty of training guides. So I'm going to show you that. Just hang tight. So it's a smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package, this SST Pro Alert Service, the monthly members only sessions, the weekly scan updates and videos, chart pattern principle course, 25 top option strategy guide, VIP email support for $797. It's seasonalswingtrader.com/scan. That's the complete offer. And you asked about training. How about training, and more training? You're going to get 13 additional training videos broken down into bite-sized chicken McNuggets. We're talking like a minute long, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes long. We keep them short and concise. We don't need these things, these modules. They don't need to last 45 minutes or an hour. It's just not that difficult. It's not rocket surgery. Plus, you're going to get this 40 to 50 page plus PDF manual. That's if you want to, download it to your desktop, print it out. It's just going to go into a deeper dive of the software. And here are your bonuses again. And then I like to just finish here with the process. We keep it very simple and clean. What month are we in, or should we be trading? What symbol do we want to be trading? What is our winning percent or our risk percent? Do we want to be bullish, bearish, maybe even both, or flat? What's our time frame? Are we a short-term trader, a swing trader, a long-term position trader? Are there events going on right now in the, let's say, the economy, maybe with the government, news events, things like that? Maybe we want to keep our time frame shorter, run a shorter period time scan. We scan for the results, we get our ideas, and then we take action. So here is the complete offer once again, and I've got a lot of questions, so bear with me one moment while I bring those up. Sylvia, I don't know if I answered your question, but let me know if I did. Yeah, I've already stated that. You can absolutely use it for options. It does not give you strikes, does not give you strike prices. This is not an option software. It gives you the underlying, and it gives you all the data you need, the seasonality data that you need to know, and how you trade is how you place that trade is up to you. We're all different. I don't know if you're trading stocks. I don't know if you buy call options, or I don't know if you sell put options. We've got people that trading with a $2,000 account all the way to $200,000 plus. Everybody trades differently. There's really no setup needed, but we can help you. I'm going to show you the members area. So this is the members area right here. Here are your downloads: Smart Stocks, Smart Futures, and Smart Forex. So these are 3 separate downloads. If you don't trade Forex, you don't have to download, but why not? You have access to it. Here's your manual. Oops. Cut out there for a second. Are you still with, everybody still with me? Okay, awesome. What happened there? Let me find my, there we are. So here's all the training videos. But as far as setup, it's really a couple click download. You download it, you're going to be prompted to install it to your computer just like any other pieces of software. And it's pretty self-intuitive. But look, I'm not a tech wizard or tech guru. I understand people run into some problems. So if that's the case, reach out to us. We will be happy to help you. We're very proud of our support. So what happens after the end of the subscription? So this is an annual, it's an annual offer. Get all that for 1 year. We'll send you a nice friendly reminder in the last few weeks or so of your membership, and you'll be offered a very substantial 2nd year discount. Can you see alerts inside the members area? So the alerts are based, so if you set your own alerts based on this, those are unique to you and your settings and how you schedule those. But you remember, you also have access to SST Pro, so you'll see this in the drop down, SST Pro. And I'll show you what that looks like once my computer quits being slow. So here's what Seasonal Swing Trader Pro looks like. Here's where you set the SMS piece right here. And then here are the alerts that we send out during the course of the week. So this is what I send out every Sunday that you'll have access to. So there's our scans. Here are open ideas. And then we have, this futures archive of past trades. Our seasonal, we keep a 3-month rolling archive there in the equities. I mean, last week was a really killer week. We closed out some really nice trades there in around $1,400 in hogs, closed out nice trades in beans and wheat. Here are some other guides. I know that a lot of you aren't, maybe not trading futures or commodities. There's usually an ETF in most cases for these. You've got an ETF for each of the currencies. Of course, you have an ETF for the indices. You have TVT and TLT for the 30, for the bonds. You've got corn, SOYB, and WAT for these 3 major grain markets. No ETF for these 2. Of course, you've got ETFs for the energies and the metals, and then for some of the meats and the softs. And they're not the most liquid in the world. You got to be careful. Obviously, just don't go place market orders, work limit orders if you choose to trade options in those markets or the outrights. I prefer the actual futures contract though. Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, and I appreciate everybody that says they're on board, and I'll answer your questions separately via email if you want to send me questions. Yeah, the available sectors again are, so here are your sectors that you can choose from. So like basic materials, you see there's 100, looks like there's 128, communication 24, financial 300, healthcare 270, industrials 270, services 59, tech 296. The data is, it comes with the scanner package. You don't need to purchase any outside data package or subscribe to anything. The data comes with the package, with the software bundle. Yep, so I think this answers your question, Ted, is, you know, if you're using Fidelity, you don't have to, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what broker you use or what platform. You can use multiple brokerage firms or platforms. I do. This is not connected. Does require no data feed or no connection to any brokerage firm. Yeah, you're welcome. How profitable are the alerts? Well, if you can see how profitable they are right here. And I only did a scan that wanting to see those that have won 85% or greater. Obviously, if you change that to say 70, you're going to get a lot more. If you change it to 90, you're going to get fewer results. The greater that you make this data, if you want to find trades that have at least 20 years of history, it's going to yield lower results. You know, seeing ideas with at least 20 years of history, that's some really powerful data, right? 20 years of data. You know, history doesn't lie, but you're going to be excluded from a lot of other high probability setups if you go to 20 years. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of good setups, and I'm excluding a lot of good setups by jacking this all the way up to 85. I just do that just for the sake to narrow them down a little bit. No, the platform does not need to be running to, I think we talked about that in the presentation. So if you set your alerts up and you can shut the platform down, you'll still receive your alerts. Let's see. Yeah, let's take a look. We'll take a look at some of the things I'm looking at here. Rose T, you could email me at support@Seasonal Swing Trader. We don't really offer, we don't have a PayPal set up. We'll have to do that manually, but we can work with you there if you want to pay via PayPal. All right. So a couple of markets that we are looking at. Told you that we are currently long September cocoa from down here at 21 double nickel, and we closed today at 24.80. So, and we've already taken some profits. So you do the math, 24.80 minus 21.55, that's 325 ticks. Each tick is $10. It's $3,200 locked in, $3,250 locked in. We were short crude oil, and we got up. We sent an alert out when we were up over $1.60 or $1,600 per contract. And then we got nicked out of our balance today. No worries about that. We're probing longs here on the dollar index. You know, dollar's just been getting pummeled, but we're long-term support there. Yeah. Let's see, what else are we looking at? So coffee, we've got a bearish, actually both of these trades here, bearish setup in coffee on the horizon and a bearish setup in ock meal or ock oil, soybean oil on the horizon. So this is looking fairly juicy, and I'll probably put an alert out tomorrow. I'm going to see how we open. I sent out a free video last week on October cattle. Looking for a trade south, but it traded out and up, so I don't have a confirmation on that trade yet. Soy oil, probably trade the December contract, but I'm looking to maybe take action there in OC oil. Some of the equity markets I'm looking at here, I'll just show you. We are long Momo. We are long Wells Fargo. It's just been kind of a deadbeat there. We're long a bunch of other stuff too. We're looking at watching in the NATP, NTAP. We're looking at EMR, potential breakout long, based on seasonality here. So we've got a lot of good markets cooking, and next week in our member session, we're going to be going through all the scans for August, and we're going to be looking at charts together and trying to cull out, really the highest, cream of the crop type trades, because there'll be some really good trades coming into the fall, and the election is kind of a crapshoot, but we are kind of displaying moves, in my opinion. Not really my opinion. It's just, they're just facts. We're displaying moves that look like the incumbent may lose his seat based on just presidential cycle analysis. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to make predictions or get political. I'm just talking facts. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit through that, look at some different scenarios. Yeah, you can remove the stocks that you don't want to see in that list, and then just save your own group. So if there's something that you don't want to see for whatever reason is bothering you. Nope, does not auto renew. Like I said, you'll just get a reminder. Can delay when you start. If you purchase today, just send me an email and say, hey, I want to start, on Monday, or I'm going out of town 2 weeks, whatever. Yeah, so you're going out of town. Yeah, just email me and we'll be happy to make a note of that. So this is a license for one computer, but you can email me if you want to load it on another one, say like a laptop or another PC in your house or something. We don't really typically advertise that, but you can, we'll make some exceptions. It's all about the honor system. Don't have a trade room. Do not have a trade room. We have a Discord room. So I'm glad you asked that. This is what the Discord looks like. It's more of a chat room, basically open 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this is what it looks like. So here I'm posting, ideas in here. Bearish and bullish scans. We've got commentary, the weekly scans. People can come in here and post, ideas, analysis, anything that they want. It's more, built as a hub. Over time, it will grow over time. Yeah, I'll go back to the members area. But really, over the weekend, middle of the night, whatever, if you want to post charts, questions, hey, I'm looking at this, about that. It could be from a seasonal perspective, a technical perspective. Anything that's useful and helpful to the community, that's what we're looking to do. Because as you saw, I mean, this is 800 something setups, and that's just based on one scan. There is a lot of markets. We can't, it's not humanly possible to keep your finger on the pulse of all of those all the time. So that's where, it comes in and says, hey, and a lot of times, if we do, let's say that we did a scan last week and, X, Y, and Z came up, and whether you took those blindly, just saying, hey, it says to get long Walmart, so I'm going to get long on, July 30th. If that's how you trade, then fine. I put a little bit more thought into it, look at some key levels, wait for the market to come to me, whether that's I'm shorting or go long, or get some type of really solid technical pattern. Also want to be aware of what's going on in the world, earnings. Do we, we have Chinese tariffs affecting certain markets, putting that little dash of common sense approach in. But if they don't happen that particular week, don't worry. I keep it on my watch list for sure, absolutely, because a lot of times, I'll go in and do my analysis each week and say, okay, I'm looking at maybe going long here, going short there, and I'll set price alerts. And occasionally I'll forget about them, if I don't go back and look at that particular market, and then I'll get a price alert and I'll go, oh yeah. And so that's, the good thing about technology. But yeah, I'll usually always keep the last, couple, 2-3 weeks in my back pocket, because they can still valid. And if we kind of keep melting up like this in the market, that also has a factor in things. So, but a lot of markets are moving independently. So the 3S is not a subscription. That's just an indicator, Siva. That's just a one-time indicator purchase. So you own that for life. This is a seasonal scanner. These are seasonal scanners. So this is a totally separate deal. Yeah, you're welcome. I look forward to working with you as well. No problem. Yeah, I get asked this almost every time about day trading. I don't use the smartMARKET scanner to day trade, but we actually do have a module in here on day trading with the scanner, and really that's going to be more for, like, I would say, the futures and forex market. I mean, it could be for stocks. I don't really incorporate seasonality into day trading. I've got other tools and strategies that I use, but where you could use that is, say, find trends that lasted 1 to 2 days, and then look for entry points on those days. So if you have a strong bullish signal or bearish signal on that, in a 1 to 2 day period, calendar period, then you could be looking for setups that they confirm based on whatever your your analysis and methodologies are. Yep. All right, awesome, Randy. Forward to working with you too. Same thing, Dave J. Yep. All right. Well, I think I've scrolled up. I think I've answered all the questions. If I haven't, shoot me an email, support@seasonalswingtrader.com. Be happy to answer your questions if I missed anything, or if you think of something later on today or tomorrow. Shoot me an email anytime, whether you joined or you didn't. Thanks to everybody that did. I look forward to working with you. The trades are going excellent, and I don't see why that's not going to continue. We've got a really great, long-term track record with things that we're doing, as well as what the scanner's producing. So I'm excited about the future. I hope you are too. Everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today, and stay safe out there in the markets and in health. Talk soon, and we'll see you on the inside.